Welcome to Step Into the Arena, redefining equine-assisted coaching. We're Diana Gogan and Janice Story, coaches, horsewomen, and founders of a comprehensive equine-assisted coach training program rooted in personal transformation and authentic horse-human partnership. Join us in conversations about what it truly means to coach with horses as equal partners and co-facilitators. We explore the heart, soul, and foundations of equine-assisted coaching and what it takes to become a coach who changes lives. If you're curious about becoming an equine-assisted coach, you're in the right arena. Today we're going to explore one of the very powerful aspects of equine-assisted coaching, and that's how horses help clients move from PTSD to post-traumatic growth, or PTG. That phrase, post-traumatic growth, really says it all. It's not just about recovery. It's about transformation. It's about evolving as the person. And we train our coaches in equine-assisted coaching to guide clients toward that transformation, with the horse as the key partner in the process. So let's start at the beginning. And Janice, I'm going to have you start this out because you're the one that actually brought this key concept, post-traumatic growth. I'd not heard this term before until you had brought it forward. How would you describe post-traumatic growth?
You know, when somebody goes through trauma, instead of staying stuck in the pain, they grow stronger. They become more connected. They're more aligned with their purpose. It's not that the trauma didn't happen, it's that it becomes a catalyst for deeper healing, meaning, and even joy. And I've been through PTSD. I've experienced it. I know what that's like. And I was speaking to a fireman, and he asked me, we were having a conversation, and he asked me if I knew if I'd ever heard the term PTG before. And I had to stop and think, and I hadn't. He said he had been in a class, and there was about 40 people with PTSD in there, and not one of them had heard of the term PTG before. So as we got to talking, it got me thinking, and did a little bit of research on it and have a full understanding, because that's a space that I've been in myself.
Yeah. And I love the term. It's one of those things when you hear the term, you're like, well, of course, right?
Yeah.
So I love that this term is now starting to become a little more mainstream.
Yep.
And as clients move from PTSD to PTG, horses are incredible mirrors in this process. They don't judge. They don't ask for explanations. People don't have to share their stories for the millionth time. They respond to who you are in the moment. And it's at the nonverbal level. They're reading you nonverbally, so they instantly understand everything that's going on. And that's where the shift begins to start. One of the key ways horses help trauma survivors is through their nervous system regulation. So our beautiful nervous system in our body really regulates so much of how we interact with the physical world around us. Talk to us a little bit, Janice, about how horses help us regulate the nervous system, particularly moving into post-traumatic growth.
Definitely. Trauma lives in the body. It dysregulates the nervous system, gets us all out of sorts. We can't breathe, we can't think, we can't do anything. When you're with a horse that's calm, your body begins to respond to their rhythm, their breathing, their grounded energy. It's really co-regulation right in the moment. And the clients begin to feel safe again, sometimes for the first time in years. And I know how much the horses have helped me with my own trauma, moving into that space of growth and healing.
One of the things that I really is a pivotal point, I think, in this process is that it's not forced. Sometimes I feel like when we are experiencing traditional therapies, we're face to face, we're talking, the pressure's on to have an answer and to talk about this. And some of this is so hard to talk about because it is locked in our nervous system and it's very emotional. But when you bring a horse into this, it's not forced. They don't need the verbalization of the trauma. because they read it, they see it, they sense it, they feel it. Not only the trauma, but they feel that with who you are as well. They're seeing the whole picture, not just the trauma picture. And so a lot of times just being near a horse, like Janice, you just described, really begins that shift. And it's really beautiful to witness as they take those deep breaths or they allow those emotions to flow for the first time in a long time. Horses help people feel safe much faster than horse. People will feel safe much faster with horses out in nature than they often will with people in an office in a traditional setting. Another huge piece of trauma recovery is rebuilding that trust. And horses are amazing in that area as well.
They really are. Trust often gets damaged through trauma, especially in relationships. A lot of times that's where the trauma comes from. But the horses, the clients have to be honest, not only with the horse, but with themselves
Yeah.
and the nonverbal feedback that they get. If a client's energy is off, the horse is going to let them know. If they're present, the horse is going to meet them wherever they're at. Clients get to practice boundary setting, reading different cues, and actually being in a relationship in a safe and empowering way. That's that's the magic of it.
It is. And over time, that relational healing then can extend beyond the stall, beyond the arena, beyond with the horse, and really influence people and how they show up in their own lives,
Mhm.
how they learn to trust their own lives again, trust themselves.
That's
So let's talk about something else that horses are amazing at, and that's helping clients reframe their trauma.
absolutely when a client sees a horse move through an obstacle or they experience themselves leading a horse with confidence, they're not just doing a task, they're creating a new story about who they are. That becomes part of their cellular memory. It's not just a head, not just in their head, it's in their body. If they're leading a horse, the horse stops. They start questioning what's going on. They start looking inside themselves. And as soon as they can get the horse to move with them, they invite the horse to go with them. And the horse does as soon as the client is looking internally what's going on in their body. And it's amazing to watch because all of a sudden the client becomes empowered. They get to step into, hey, I can do this. They get their confidence back. And this relationship starts to grow with the client and the horse. It's amazing to witness.
And that's what really makes that learning last is because it is experiential. It becomes part of your cell memory. It becomes part of your story because now you've lived it and it replaces the old stories. It begins to overwrite those old stories. That's the magic. That's where this shift all begins to happen.
Mhm.
Trauma will disconnect people from who they are and what matters most to them. It really shuts people down. So let's talk for just a moment about how horses help reconnect people to their sense of purpose and well-being.
They slow us down. They bring us into the moment, into the present.
Mhm.
And it's in that place of quiet and stillness that the clients begin to reconnect with what's true for them, not who they were before the trauma, but who they're becoming now in this moment. And the horses help reveal that next chapter, right? Helps them restart, gives them the pen back so they can start writing their story.
And I think that's so powerful because that opens the doors wide open to a brand new future.
Yeah,
You know, it's a
it
brand new
does.
future. And that's really what it is the heart of this work of equine assisted coaching is helping people step into that future that they dream of and that they desire and that they really want to experience.
Mhm.
So, really briefly here before we close, let's talk about the coach's role. And at the Freedom Way, how we prepare coaches to do this kind of trauma informed work.
We give them a solid understanding of trauma and how it impacts the nervous system,
Mhm.
relationships, somebody's self image. We teach them how to read the horse's feedback, how to create a safe environment. You can't heal if there's not safety. And that's something that's Diane and I are both very passionate about, is creating safety, not only for the clients, but for the coaches and the horses as well. The whole environment has to be a safe space. They're able to facilitate embodied learning. It's not about fixing something, it's about partnering with the horse, partnering with the client. And most importantly, we stress the scope of practice. If
Mhm.
somebody's dealing with clinical PTSD, we make sure our coaches either have the knowledge and extensive training for that, or they're working alongside somebody that's licensed and professional and can help them support their client through that.
And that really speaks to the integrity of this work that we talked about in a previous video. I think that the previous video was the difference between equine assisted coaching and equine assisted therapy. You do need to be integrity with the knowledge that you have and what the skills and knowledge you have to help someone through that for not just the client, but the horse as well. So if you're a coach or a therapist or an equine professional and you really have it in your heart to help people not just survive, but to thrive, this work is for you and I highly recommend it.
Right. And the Freedom Way offers a trauma informed, horse centered certification that equips you to be able to guide clients from PTSD to PTG with empathy, presence, and heart.
If you want to learn more about how to become an equine assisted coach and our certification program at the Freedom Way, of course, we invite you to visit the website. We hope to see you in the arena soon. Thanks for joining us inside the arena. If today's episode sparked something in you, be sure to like and subscribe and watch for upcoming episodes. To learn more about the Freedom Way Equine Assisted Coach Certification Program, as well as other training and learning opportunities, visit us at freedomwayequinecoaching.com.